I was really impressed how he outlasted Feast a little bit. And I think deep down kind of knew Feast had it. And I hope the Feast camp really takes some notes on Feast's upside. I've been a big fan of him. We both have. I think we
Yeah, he's
both
playing
saw
some good
how
ball right now.
played some great ball. And he hasn't had a bad 2025. But
No,
that
no, he's playing.
match showed me he is capable of being a top 5 player very soon. But and on clay.
Whoa, whoa, top five,
Top 5, Alvin. You heard it right here. Top 5. Here's why.
huh?
A lot of his issues are self-induced. So what if you turn, unlike certain players in that top 5 that need a loss, need a matchup, need a surface? Alvin, I thought the kid was good on hardcourt. Kid's pretty good on clay.
Yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
going into the part of the season where you heard it right here. Carlos played a pretty good tournament. And he was, in my opinion, for 1 7/8 of a match, was pretty good with beating one of the top in the world at his own game. Drop
Yeah.
shots, check. Forehand on the line, check. Serve, check, which has been a big issue for him in times past. His only weakness was he got to the moment where he was ready to put his foot down and he stubbed his toe and he just didn't finish the
But
deal
that's
there
that's
late.
something that is kind of like in his makeup right now. He's done that a few
I
other
would
times
say
too. He
it's
did
in its
something
makeup at
similar.
this point. If he does this at 27, he's done. If he does it
Sure.
at 20, is he 23? I think he's
I
23,
think he's
22.
23, maybe
Right?
22.
Because
Yeah.
I think when he played, didn't he lose to Mensick in Miami? Wasn't that a match that
He did. He lost it. He had a high backhand volley to
right?
on match
So,
point and
and I
he
remember that
stuffed
match. I
it.
remember looking at the stats. They're all about a year apart. Right? So I said to say if Mensick is 21, he's 22, or whatever the age was, they're about a year apart. I said to say Feast showed me in that match that if it had been anybody else, they'd be like, he should have won the match. He had a chance up against Carlos. Carlos had not smiled. Carlos wasn't doing his normal vamos. He wasn't giving any of his fist pumps. Carlos
Yeah.
knew that he was in for a match and could be beaten if Arthur had simply finished. I think that's a great match for Arthur to build on. I also feel like that was a match for Carlos to really expound on, to say, you know what, I can let you lose
Yeah, I
and
think that's
and
the
and
that's
pick
the
and
big
pick it up.
takeaway
And there's
there. It's
another
like,
quick trip to coach's corner. You don't always have to beat a player. You can allow them to lose. You can
yeah,
allow them to hit
yeah,
themselves out. You can allow them to let the moment kind of defeat them a little bit. And honestly, I felt like that's maturity when you let that happen. There's a fine line, but you're always going to gain more points through their errors than you are going to through your own winners for 99% of your tennis. And so I think that was a great example of him to say, hey, I'm just going to make balls. And if he can beat me, he can beat me. But if
and that's
not,
what happened. I think
that's what it was.
I think in the second set against Carlos,
Yeah.
Arthur was serving 6-5, maybe 40 love.
Mm.
Out of the next 9 points, he lost 8 of them, and of those 8, 7 were unforced errors.
Right.
I'm just watching it, and I'm like, oh, and Carlos is just like, if you're gonna give it right back to me, then you can give it right back to me. That's fine. And they go into the tiebreaker, and it continues on. But I think that's a big one for Carlos, where he doesn't necessarily go out and take a match. He can get through a tough one
That
on
was the one
on a
match
bad
I
day.
thought he was vulnerable the whole tournament, as far as I watched. And I didn't watch everything, but I would, from all the matches that I saw, that was the one match he was vulnerable. Even when he lost the set against Lorenzo, I didn't think it was vulnerable. I thought he just came out a little hot, came
Yeah,
out
a little hot.
little bit early, a little bit, did you say amped up, a little juiced up.
Yeah.
He was going for shots too early. She didn't need to go for. He was trying to show Lorenzo, I got this. And then and end up, going down quite a bit. And I think in the 6-1, 6-0 fashion, I don't want to talk about that in that third set, which was, I feel bad for Lorenzo. He was clearly hurt. Ab pull, groin pull, something happened. You could tell he was not himself. And that's off him for trying to finish, right? He was really trying to finish that match to give the fans a finish, not a withdrawal and an injury. But you could tell by about 2-0, 3-0, he was done, But I said to say, but the 6-0 spanking was, the 6-0, 6-1 spanking the second
That
was
legit.
all day. That was real.
That was legit. Yeah.
That was legit. You know what I mean? So anyway,
well, even in the first round, and I almost mentioned this when the draw came out, Cerundolo as a first round match I was like, that's we were talking about Carlos a little bit, like, oh, I want to see something from him,
Right.
and he loses the first set 6-3, one break serve, and then destroys Cerundolo, who is a
Destroyed him.
proper Argentinian clay
Right.
court
Coming
player.
up. Right.
Can also play
Alkmaar.
well on hard,
Alkmaar
but
was also another match that I thought he fairly would have beat.
yeah. I mean, once he got through Cerundolo, and he was in full flight Carlos, the Vamos and fist pump and
Yep.
everything, and it's like, okay, this is gonna be a good week for him. And then when you see Novak and Zverev kind of fall by the wayside, it's like, okay, he should roll through the rest of this tournament. And
He did, and he was the better for it, but he did so in a fashion, Alvin, that I felt showed that he's back in good form. He played the level of tennis that he needed to, especially with the center being out. But he did it in a way where he was hitting through the court, hitting his drop shots. I want to give a shout out to my main man, Alejandro Davidovich Fokina, who came out and I thought played a very solid match against Carlos. Big forehands, big backhands coming forward. He tried to out Carlos. Carlos, I mean, came forward, dropped volleys, big forehands, inside out dropper. I mean, taking the backhand early. I mean, I was very impressed. It was probably the most complete match I've seen from Alejandro since I've been watching him on the clay. And I think he's a little more of while he can slide, and he's a Spaniard. I thought he strikes me as more of a hard quarter who can hit,
so
right?
to your point, he
Right.
finaled Del Rey and then Acapulco back to back. So like he is a new school Spanish
Right.
tennis player
Right.
who
Who's on
has
the
the
hard,
hard
more
court
comfortable on the
chops.
hard court than he is on the other. And people
Yeah,
don't realize this, Alvin. Nadal spent 8, almost 9 years not getting into the second week of the U.S. Open.
right. Yeah,
I want to say, I'm pretty sure it was 7, 8 years not getting into the second week. Not at all. Like, not one time.
different
While he
days.
had won multiple French Opens. So it wasn't like he wasn't adept on the clay. I think his first French he won. I don't think he lost one except one year he missed with injury. And then that one
Yeah.
year Soderling took him out. So my point is, this is during his reign. This is not the beginning. This is not the end. He was already a Grand Slam champion and could not get out of the second week of the Open.
Yeah.
Now, and I give a lot of credit. So back to my boy Davidovich Fokina, I thought Alonso played great. I thought if anything, the only thing he just ran out of a little bit of execution.
Well,
I felt like even that match, I know the scores may have been not as close, but I felt that was actually a bit more of the final. I hate to say it in that sense of the given players who were left because the match had a lot more tug of war, had a lot more. I'm going to say, cardiac arrest for both coaches'
fair.
camps, and
Yeah.
the tennis was high quality, man. And that was a
So
very good
it's
match.
a funny thing between Davidovich Fokina and Alcaraz. So Carlos's older brother is the same age as
Alejandro.
Alejandro,
Right,
right? So they grew up playing together. And Alejandro and Carlos are friends, right?
right,
I think one
right,
of the commentators mentioned that like he went to Alejandro's wedding just a couple
right,
months back. So
right.
it kind of struck me, and I was telling my wife about this morning when I was watching the match. It's like, you know, you start thinking about these guys. You see these people on TV and they're professionals, right? They're
Right.
professionals, but really it's just kind of like junior tennis. It's just up
Just better.
there, and that like yeah,
Way
it's
better.
better, but like but use junior tennis as as an example
I
in
know
that like the
exactly.
guys you play in 12s
You
are also
know,
the guys you play in 18s. You just play
right.
them. You play the same people kind of
And
all
the
the
same
time.
guys you play in college, there may be your roommates in college, there may be
Yeah,
your
it's
competition,
all
but
the people
you
in
know them
your
well.
yeah, the people in your kind of like your age range are like the people you
Right.
end up playing tennis with for
Ten,
I play
10,
tennis
20
now
years.
with the guys I played tennis with when I was
Sure,
12.
sure.
So I say that to say like when Carlos goes into a match like that against Alejandro, it's like, yeah, I know I'm not gonna lose this match. Like, and he knows I'm not gonna lose this match. We're gonna have fun. It's gonna be like not like they're taking it less serious. It's going to be a good match because they can both bring out good looking tennis
Yeah.
from each other. But I don't think that Carlos feels threatened by
I would
Alejandro.
agree with you, but I would also tell you that's what made the upstarts from Alejandro all the more interesting. He
Fair.
went down 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, brought it back 4-3, 0-2, brought it back 2-all. He
Yeah.
had more comebacks and more And I was really, I love it when the underdog player starts hyping up the crowd like,
Yeah,
come on, give me
yeah,
something now. I'm busting my butt out here. You know,
yeah.
I saw Davidovich Fokina go out pretty bad to Tommy Paul in Australia this past year. And I felt like he was just tactically outmatched. He worked his forehand against him. Has a hard backhand, maybe a bit too hard sometimes. Didn't have a lot of variety on that backhand side, but can certainly crush it and gets his forehand, right, which is what he wants to do. And I thought Tommy Paul went through him like a buzzsaw. It was almost embarrassing how fast he
Yeah.
went through him in that match. Could have been dinged up. Could have been just been a bad matchup. Tommy just could have started off great, and David Alejandro never really caught up. In this match, I've seen he's a streaky player. I think we all get that.
Yep.
He can be
Yep.
very streaky. There's nothing wrong with that. Sometimes streak can help you or hurt you. He came back in multiple streaks too, and I felt like I want to say he got it back. Was the first set that went to a breaker? He got or a second. He got it back to a breaker. He just played enough. He got it back enough to say, "I'm still in this. Don't count me out."
Yeah.
And I love the fact that the underdog, in this case, Alejandro, never conceded the match. And I think every good player at the top of their game needs Davidovich Fokina match like that going into the
It's a
match
nice
to
sharpening match.
to sharpen you and make you believe, buddy, I had to work for that. You know what I mean? And I really feel like those are the kind of matches where you kind of need to go through that and really kind of kind of earn your medal a little bit. And I thought that's what Alejandro did for Carlos in this match. It was certainly high quality tennis. And when you win a match like that, you feel like you've earned it. You feel like you've arrived. You don't feel like, yeah, the guy played terrible. I was able to kind of. The guy gives you have two walkovers. Guy's hurt. One guy's not very good. You get through. You're almost more tight. You know what I mean? You don't really feel like you've earned it. And I feel like that was a good match, good turn for Carlos.